Hey, fellow Restopians, welcome back to Restopia. Merry Christmas. Hope you've all had a good Christmas, if that's your thing in your part of the world, or just had a good time over the holiday period, if it's not, or just had a good week, if it's not that either. My little embellishment today is my Rolex Submariner air freshener hanging in the car. I will be putting that. One of my subscribers kind of gave me that. I do love it. It's going to be going in the car today. Not sure. Actually, will it? Might get stolen. Might get my car broken into. Anyway, yeah, Christmas. I've got a large, rum and Coke here. I wouldn't put Coke with anything else I can think of. Maybe gin, vodka. No, vodka. I might have a vodka and Coke potentially. But I do like Coke with rum at Christmas. Wouldn't drink whiskey with anything added, maybe some ice. But yeah, so having a drink. Cheers. Now, this, just before we go on to the topic, it kind of leads into it. Now, this is a quality glass. I've got another one here because I can't show you that one because I can't turn it sideways. This is a quality glass. It's a very basic looking tumbler and it has got quite a thick base. But the thing that you can't tell from looking at this is it is very heavy. Now, this is 33% lead crystal. I'm not sure you can buy these anymore. I'm sure you can buy anything, can't you? But these came, I can't remember if it's 35 pounds for a pair. I think it probably was. That was years ago, though. That was decades ago. Like literally, best part of 25 years ago. But the reason I'm mentioning this is it's very tactile. It's the feel of it. When you pick this up, even without a drinking, it's very heavy and it gives you that feel of quality, substance. So when it's full of drink, I mean, I don't really notice it too much because I'm used to them. But when someone picks one of these up with a drink in, and I appreciate that is quite full, but it's got a lot of weight to it. And I only bring these out on special occasions. I'm worried about damaging them because, like I said, I don't think you can buy them anymore. I do really love them, but it's just that it feels quality, and it's a bit like with a quality watch. Now, I'm going to do what I've now named the Pitts maneuver. After one of my subscribers, not the first subscriber to mention my, what did someone else call them? My hands become possessed and they move around too quickly. But yeah, I've never really made too much of a thing about a wrist roll. And I don't think watches look great on your wrist on camera. They always look very different to what they do in the flesh. And I mean, I'm hoping that's quite a good look. But, you know, I've been asked by a subscriber. I can't remember the subscriber's full name, sorry. But it started off Pitts. So I've called it the Pitts maneuver in honor of the American pit maneuver, which is to knock a car that they are pursuing off of the road so they can detain the offender, the accused, the suspect. So I'm trying to slow things down now. So here we have my Grand Seiko, my old man Grand Seiko, because I can never remember the reference number. And I don't think people need to know the reference number of their watches. It's something I disagree with. It's you know, there's so many watches, you know, that you're not going to, you know, I just don't see the need. Anyway, I won't go into that. That's becoming a bit of a rant. And it's Christmas. I don't want to rant. I want to give some advice, hopefully that will help some people. But yeah, here's my Grand Seiko. I've been wearing this all over Christmas. I did mention in a previous video that because it doesn't have any lume on anything, doesn't have any lume. Everything is super shiny, and it's got that, you know, famous Zuratsu polishing that Grand Seiko are so famous for. But yeah, so those indices are all pure metal. You know, there's no lume in there, so they do really reflect the light. I mean, it's quite a subdued. It's not a very flashy Grand Seiko. None of them are any of them. I don't know. I wouldn't say they were, but their dials can be quite flashy. Flashy is not really the word. But this is quite a plain dial. But the fact that everything is very, very shiny around Christmas, when this is reflecting Christmas lights of all colours around your house, it does look amazing. And I've been wearing this all Christmas, and I do love it. I do love Grand Seiko as a company. I'm not too keen on a lot of the things they do. I think they could do a lot better. They're a bit boring. But I love mine. So I would certainly recommend the brand to people. If you're interested, go and have a look. I think you'll probably find at least one. I mean, how many do you need? I think you'd probably find at least one watch that you love, and they are quality things, and they're very different. I suppose you've got Grand Seiko, Rolex, and Omega that are kind of vying for a similar position on the high street. I think it's reasonable to say, but they're all very different to each other. I've had all three brands on the channel, so I've worn all three. I think they are very different to each other, and they all have something to bring to the party. So I hope that pits maneuver there was slow enough. I hope you've sort of given a good look at that. But on to the topic of the, let me take that off so you've got something to look at, or I'll hold it. On to the topic of the video. Now, the video I think is going to be entitled Never Pay List for a Watch. Now, these things are expensive, like this glass. It wasn't cheap for a tumbler, but it's a quality thing that I enjoy using every time I use it. This is an expensive watch. Every time I wear it, I get enjoyment putting it on, taking it off, looking at it, winding it. Everything about it is quality, and I get enjoyment for that, and therefore I think that it's worth the money. But that said, I got a discount on this. I didn't get a discount. There's a long story why I didn't get a discount on that glass, but actually I didn't pay for the glass. It was a gift. It was free. The glass was a wedding present, so I didn't even pay for it. But I always get a discount on a watch. Personally, I've never paid list for a watch. Now I have done a little crib sheet here. So I have generally will always get 15% minimum discount on a watch that I buy. There is an asterisk in the title of the video, I believe, when I upload, and there are two exceptions to that rule. Number one is Rolex. I wouldn't expect a discount on a Rolex, or any brand above Rolex that's hard to get, or any piece within a brand like an Omega Snoopy or 321. I appreciate they're hard to get, but any watch that's in a shop as stock, in the window, in the display, inside, or a shop window watch as I call them, I would expect at least 15% off of that. And if I didn't get 15% off minimum, I wouldn't be buying it personally. Now, I think these things cost a lot of money, but you need to get it at a price that kind of takes away some of the depreciation. I think the other reason that I want a discount is because I don't want to be paying for something that someone else has bought for less. I don't necessarily agree with discounts. There are lots of things in the world, lots of companies that do not discount. I've mentioned Rolex. I think I used to have some B&W loudspeakers, that, although I did get those at a discount as well. But generally the brand wants its suppliers to not discount, and I do not mind that at all. I think it would be far better if everything was sold at RRP. The problem for me is that if other people are getting it slightly less or a lot less, I don't want to be paying more than them, because I will then feel mugged off. So that's my take on discounting. So we've established that I will only buy a watch that's in a shop, in the window, ready for sale, with minimum of 50% discount. I think we had a period where I don't want to go too much into this, but I know the brands are withdrawing. Some brands give their retailers a lower margin, i.e. the difference between what the shop buys it for and what the shop sells it for at list, the amount they've got to play with to still make a profit. And there are various reasons, and this has changed over time. We're in a period now where money's tight, so I think that's going to be opening back up again. But regardless of that, my principle is 15% minimum. And I can't think that, there was one other reason Apart from brands like Rolex, Patek, AP, and I don't get involved with those higher end brands, but you know, apart from a watch that's not available in a shop, the other reason that you might pay list is if you want something from the shop. So if you want one of those hard to get pieces, you may be willing to pay for a normal piece. So let's say, I'm not sure how it works with Grand Seiko, but let's say you wanted a hard to get Grand Seiko, then maybe you would pay list for this one if it meant that you would potentially be in the be then favourably offered the hard to get one, whichever brand it is. Now I've sort of done that before. But I haven't paid list. I took a lower discount on a watch because I wanted to potentially get. So I played the game, as it's called. I've played the game before. And actually, I have actually paid full list for a watch that I could have got at a discount because I was playing a game. So I have paid full list for a watch that was in the shop window once before, but I did win that game and I got the watch that I wanted to get. So there are a couple of exceptions to the rule, but generally, if you're buying one watch and it's in the shop window or in the cabinet inside, it's a stocked item, you should be getting a discount. Now, I think the problem with that is a lot of people do not know how to go about getting that discount. You cannot simply ask, and this is turning into a longer video, I can see now because I'm already up to 11 minutes. You don't simply go in and say, oh, can I have a discount? They will say no, and you will, well, I don't know, you will say, well, okay then, and just buy it. You've got to have a plan when you go into the shop. Now I haven't done too much research on this, but I've written some notes and I'm going to come up with some of my suggestions. I think number one, have a realistic price of the watch before you go into the shop. So let's say this Grand Seiko, whatever it is, I keep mentioning Grand Seiko because I've got this, but I think it is slightly different for each brand. I think Omega might be the one that would be better. I haven't got an Omega handy, but Omega will be the brand that's better really to look at in terms of discounting on the high street, because there just are more Omega ADs and it's a very popular brand. Have a realistic price in mind. Now I've suggested 15 to 20%. So let's go with that. Let's go with 15 because that's, to me, is the minimum. I'm suggesting you do not walk into an Omega, a shop that sells Omega, so an Omega AD, not a boutique. Don't expect to get big discounts at a boutique. Avoid boutiques like the plague. Go to an AD. So an AD, a non-boutique AD, basically is a store that sells Omega, but they also sell other brands. So go in with a realistic price in mind. So I'm going to suggest 15% as a minimum. So let's go with that. I would suggest a couple of things, as well as having a realistic price in mind. So that's the price that you're not going to go below. So let's say the watch was 10 grand for argument's sake. So therefore you're looking at, you want £1,500 off of that. So you're looking at 8,500. That's right, isn't it? Is that 15%? Am I doing my maths wrong here? Hopefully not. I used to be good at maths. Yeah, because 10% would be 1,000, wouldn't it? Yeah, so 1,500. Now, another thing is, I would suggest booking an appointment. The reason I would book an appointment, if you can, is because you want that AD to have your details. Because later on in this plane, you're going to be walking out of that shop. Now, if you walk out of that shop and they don't know how to get in touch with you, that's end of story. So it's quite important that they know how to get in touch with you. Also, it shows that you're serious. You haven't just walked in off the street. You phoned up. You've said, oh, hi, my name's Bob. Have you got this? Yeah. Can I come in and see you? Making an appointment might be a bit weird to do, but it's happened to me in the past, and it just works better because they've got your details. If you haven't given them your details before you go in, you're going to have to give them your details. Well, either give them your details while you're there, which might be a bit forward, let's say, and that leads on to, you don't want to be an arse, which is something else I've got further down the line. The other thing you can do is, obviously, you can call them once you've left the store. Right. So another thing I'd suggest, other than booking an appointment, is to pick your moment. Now, stores have targets. They have weekly targets and monthly targets. It's possibly better to go in at the end of the month, because if they've hit their target by that point, they're not going to give a monkeys whether you buy the watch from them or not, any more than they normally would. In some ways, they will be less likely to do you a deal at that point if they've hit target. If they haven't hit target, then they will be very keen to do a deal for you. So it's a double-edged sword going in at the end of the month, because it depends on whether they've hit target or not, and you don't know that. But yeah, it might be something you consider. I think really I wouldn't be too bothered about picking your moment when you go in, although I've just said that it might be something you want to do, because, you know, that's, I think if you can just go in near the end of the month, maybe not right at the end of the month, because you want to go in at a point where they are keen to do target. I guess they're keen to do target every point in the month, apart from the point at the month where they have hit target. But yeah, just something to consider. At what point do you go into store? Another thing to consider, and I've never heard anyone say this before, consider going to a store out of town. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be coming on to like who has power over who. And one thing that would be in your advantage, potentially, is if they know that you do not live near that store. It's not going to be easy for you to get back to the store, or it might be impossible for you to get back to the store. So they will then know, I'm either selling this watch to this person now, or they're never going to buy it from me. Now, that is basically what you're trying to do here. You're trying to get them to want to right, I'll come on to this in a minute actually, but you're trying to get them to want to sell you the watch. I know that's what they want to do, but you really want them to want to sell you the watch. And if you're not local, that may have a good advantage. But let's move on slightly. Always be pleasant. This is a big one. Never be rude, never be an arse, never threaten, never say, oh, I can get it cheaper somewhere. Well, you know, that's part of it. Maybe you could say, oh, I've been offered it here. I'd try not to lie. I think be pleasant, be honest, don't lie. You've got to be genuine, because the thing is the moment you become an arse or they don't like you, they're not going to be interested. It almost doesn't matter whether you're the guy that's going to save them from not hitting target. If you upset them, they almost won't care. So you kind of spoil it for yourself. So at all points, be pleasant. Nobody likes an arse, I've written down here. So you're going in, you're trying to get 15% off a watch. You've done all those, some or all of those things. You might simply say to them, can I have 15% off that watch? They might say, yes, sure, sir. There you go. Job done. Now, the likelihood is they're not going to say that. They're going to try to offer you less of a discount. So at that point, you might say, oh, okay, I'll accept 5%. I'll accept 10% if you want to. But my suggestion is that you go in and you're only accepting 50%, or, you know, whatever you've asked for, you've got to just, that's it. You might want to go in heavy. You might want to go in with 20 and accept, but with the acceptance that you're going to accept a 15% discount. You could do that. That's something else you could do. But if 15% is your minimum and you're not getting 15%, then I've mentioned it already. You've got to walk away, because when you go into a shop, they feel they have the power over you. They feel that you're going in, you really want this nice shiny thing. Oh, you know, it's a luxury purchase. It's not an essential purchase. You've obviously got the money to buy it. You're going to really want it, and they're the only shop in town that sells it. So, oh, he's going to buy it. He's going to buy it. And if I'm nice and I say the right things, he'll buy it. He'll ask for 15. I'll give him 10. He'll buy it. So they feel that they have the power. Now, unfortunately, and Paul Fulton said this a long time ago, and he was right, you've got to be prepared to walk away. And that's why it's important that they have your contact details so that they can contact you if they need to. Not important, but it's good. You know, if they change their mind, then they can be in touch. And I'll come on to that a bit in a moment, as well as the second contact. So don't be an arse. Love the watch. Come up with some reasons. I mean, I've missed out one actually here. Give reasons why the discount that you're asking for is reasonable. You could say, I don't know, just come up with a reason. Say your mate, try not to lie, but you can say, your mate got one, he didn't pay this for it, it was in a sale, blah, blah, blah. But come up with reasons why the discount you're asking for is justified, ideally without lying. When it gets to the point that you're not they're not offering you the discount you want and you're walking out, still love the watch. Give them genuine reasons why you're passing on it. Say, I really love the watch. Something like what I've said in the past. I really love the watch. This is quite right. That's quite right. I'd be happy paying the 8,500 for it. You know, in the example that I gave where it was £10,000 watch. That was a bit high really, but it just worked out easy for the figures. So basically I really do love it. I'd love to buy it at the 15% off price. I'm not really sure at the moment. I appreciate your offer. Thank you for your offer of 10%, whatever it is. Be really pleasant, be really nice, give genuine reasons and let them know that you definitely do want to buy the watch. You're not wasting their time. Then you have to leave, but leave on very good terms. You could say to them, if you change your mind, give me a call if they've got your details, or potential. And the other thing is, the reason I said it might be better to buy out of town, because you'll say, like, I'll have a think about it, but I'm not local. I'm in town I'm having lunch, I'll have a think about it maybe, but, if you change your mind, give me a call. Because really, if they know that you're willing to buy the watch at the discount and that you do really want it, but they know you're not going to be near their shop, they know you're going to be in another shop in another town, that shop will be mad not to do the deal. So but you're taking the power away from them. Suddenly you have the power. You've left the shop. They know that that's £8,500 waiting to go into their till, and they've said no to it. They're going to instantly regret doing that, potentially. And yeah, they may be in touch, get back to you and say, I've spoken to my manager, this, that and the other. But you need to walk out the shop. You might play the long game. You might go back in there in a period of time and say, I looked at that. Is there any movement on that? Now, you've already had the negotiation stage. And at that point, they know you need to get it to a point where you're basically saying, look, I've got £8,500 to give you for this 10 grand watch. Do you want it or not? That's basically what you're saying, but you've got to say it in a nice way. And then, of course, if you leave, you could give them a call. So you're outside of the shop and you're giving them a call. Again, the same thing. You're saying, I've got £8,500 here waiting for you. Do you want it? Yes or no? But you're saying it in a nice way. Hopefully, a lot of that has been helpful. And the main thing there is you've got to be prepared to people call it negotiating, but I think it's more playing a game. But you've got to play the game that they don't know that you're playing the game. Or maybe it doesn't matter that they know you're playing the game. At the end of the day, you're putting £8,500 in their till for a 10 grand watch. So they really should be very grateful. Now, the other thing, and this has turned into a long video, I might redo this whole video. This has been a bit, lastminute.com. But the last thing I want to say on this is, if you've spent the time in a shop and you've tried to negotiate a deal that hasn't worked out, and I've seen this happen in real life, I've seen a guy negotiate a double watch purchase, try to negotiate a double watch purchase. The shop was just completely unreasonable in the discount they were going to give him. It was two watches that they didn't sell a lot of. And they were just completely unrealistic with the discount. I think they offered him, 11% on these two watches, which... and he said no, he walked away. Now, what that guy should have done, and the other thing that you could do when you're in that situation, you simply just phone up another shop. You don't even have to go in there. You just phone up the shop and say, hi, I was looking at this watch, blah, 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 I had it. They offered me 10%. I wanted 15. Is that something you can do? So again, you've got the power because you're not in the shop. What they want is to get you in the shop and to exert their forces on you to try and, get you, use their sales techniques to get you to buy the watch. But if you're not in the shop, again, you're just phoning up and saying, would you like £8,500 in your till for a 10 grand watch? But if you've got the story of that you've been into another dealer and they've said no, will you do it? I'm phoning round to see who will do it. They're just going to think, well, eventually someone's going to say yes, so it might as well be me. That's exactly what I would have done in a situation, or this guy would have done, that was buying two watches. They offered him a stupid 11% discount rather. on 2 watches that any other day. They'd have given 15% on both of them individually, yet alone the guy buying 2 at once. Yeah, he would have just phoned up a shop that sold both those brands, said, have you got this? Have you got that? They'd have said yes. Said, I've been offered 11%. Will you do them both for 15% off? The shop would be absolutely mad not to say, yes, come in right now. Here they are. Can you give me a deposit over the phone and then come in and pick them up? They'd be mental not to do that. But yeah, so it's turned into a very long video. I hope some of that's been useful. I think I might do this again, but in a more, well, at least I did the pits maneuver today, so I've got a bit better at something. Hopefully I haven't waffled too much. There we go, nice and slow. I might do this again in a more structured format, but, you know, hopefully some people might watch this and it might help them in the meantime. But for now, have a great new year. I hope you've had a good Christmas. Have a great new year. One wrist, live it.